This is All the Things with Michelle Wolfe.
Thank you for being here. This is officially my second episode for my podcast. And it's all the things
Thank you for having me.
because I want to talk about all of the things. I want to talk about because spirituality is part of everything that we do. So it sort of seems impossible to me that we would try to like separate it as if it's not, or that we should never talk about it or whatever. It's the thing that like joins us, connects us. Um, so so I guess I should introduce you, or maybe you can introduce yourself. So I'm Michelle,
Okay.
um, and I am. Let's see. I'm just starting to, you know, share my voice more and open up to, these collaborations. So I'm really excited to be here with you, and thank you. You're like officially my first collaboration. So
Oh, that's so awesome. I
yeah,
feel honored.
yeah. And I love that we started today at 11 o'clock. It all just felt very divine. Like I wasn't even nervous heading into this. I was like really looking forward to talking with you and having this conversation. Um, so,
hmm Yeah,
so
this feels
introduce
very
yourself.
comfortable.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad.
My name's Angie Whitsel, and I don't even know what to say. My gosh, how long have we known each other?
How long has it been?
And
Because it feels like a long time, but I
yeah,
think
it
it's
really
been
does.
maybe since 2018. Yeah,
Really.
around that time. Yeah.
I think we met, through this spiritual community. I had my own spiritual business at the time, so did you. Now my spiritual biz is kind of taking a back seat to my new design business, because I was unexpectedly let go at my corporate job in May of 2023. And I took time to myself to figure out what I want to do with my life and
And
honestly just took a break.
you were doing graphic design for a healthcare
Mm,
company, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 17 years. Well, I spent time with a
Oh,
publication company, and then I spent 13 years with the healthcare company.
I didn't realize you were there that long.
Yeah. So
Wow.
being let go out of nowhere was a big shock.
I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
How did that do you mind if I ask you like how that all felt for you? And when they told you, did they, because the topic we're talking about today is AI, among other
Mhm.
things, but that's one of the things that brought us together on this day. Um,
Mhm.
did they talk to you about that when they were letting you go, or how did you do you mind sharing?
Uh, well, I know intuitively why I think I got let go. Some of it I can't say. Um, but
But you had a
I've
general
recognized.
sense that some of it was related to the changes, because it was all around the time that, like, AI just, like, yeah, blew up.
Yeah, AI was just coming out. I was getting more and more requests at work to start working with Canva. And I'm not going to lie, I was an old school designer who was like, well, I'm only using Adobe. I refuse to use Canva. Canva is for wannabe designers. And I really think I hurt myself. Now I'm addicted to Canva. I love it and I see why everyone uses it.
It's really
But that is the
isn't
direct.
it? Yeah.
Mhm. And more businesses and corporations are starting to allow their employees to use Canva. And then that also saves them time and money having to go back and forth between designers and these corporate design teams that they're spending so much money on. And I know that's probably part of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so that brings us to, like, that I really wanna recognize that I understand that advancements in technology do create gaps for people in their lives, and whenever we create efficiencies, sometimes that removes people from that process, you know? And so then
Mhm.
I know that a lot of people, have gotten like sort of up in arms about this, like from an artist and creative perspective, and that like this is going to be the death of our creativity. But I just don't see it like that. Like I have, from what I have witnessed of humanity in our evolution and history, anytime we've ever been faced with problems that create limitations for us, we become innovative. We are innovative creatures. We find our way out,
Yes.
whatever it is, we're problem solvers. Um, we
Yep.
do get in our own way. I'm not saying that we don't, but for the most part, we seem to generally be able to wrap ourselves around whatever it is and figure it out. It might take us a long
Yes.
time.
Hmm. I
But in
agree.
terms of
Yep.
AI, I actually think we're not going to have it's not going to be something that we can figure out in a long time. Like we're not going to have a long time. Like because it's just kind of like,
Mhm.
I mean, if you think about it, computers, I had my first computer when I was 13. Um and it was one of those like dial up connection thing, what
Mhm.
I mean, right? I don't know how old you are, but I'm
Mhm.
42. So like in
I'm
the
46.
in the 90s,
Yeah. Yep.
we had that dial-up, and that was like, and look how far we've come since then. And so,
Mhm.
you you know, add AI into the mix and how that can automate processes, it's
Mhm.
going to go fast.
Yes. It's going so fast already. I mean, it is almost mind-numbing how quickly we're advancing,
Mhm,
and I really think this is where we need to be cognizant of ethics and morals
mhm.
and mental health when
Mhm.
it comes to technology.
So,
And I
ethics and
do
morals.
believe more laws are gonna be passed quickly, I
Mhm.
believe, because so much has happened already that I don't think they were prepared for. And this is how we learn, though. So people just need to be patient and understand once something surfaces, it will get fixed. At least I hope so.
That's part of the
Um,
It's part of the, it's kind of like testing. Like, so what I do, you do graphic design and I do like sort of data analysis. And so I do a lot of like reporting on test results and things like that. And, anytime you roll out with a test, you
mhm.
are going to gain information from doing that. And then it's like you get more information over time as you tinker,
Yes.
and that's the part,
Yes.
like, as human beings, I get frustrated that it's like we forget that process, even with our news. Like we get, when an event happens, like a terrible event that will happen, right? There'll be a shooting or something, and all of a sudden, like, there's this whole like story that's blowing up around it, and we don't allow for time to unfold to get all the information. We want it all right now, and it doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
I'm waiting for us to realize that it just doesn't work that way. We need to allow time
Right.
to unfold and whatever's going to happen
Yes.
in that time, and then we address it as it comes up. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know why
Mhm.
that concept is so hard for us. We want immediate gratification all the time.
Mhm. And I think, you and I are both very spiritual, mind, body, spirit people. We're idealistic. Sometimes I know I get accused of wearing rose-colored glasses, which I do, but
Yeah.
like, I just I'm starting to recognize that some of my beliefs that have been instilled within me, I have to be more patient and I also have to be more open-minded. Um, and I have to go with the flow of where we are going as humanity. And trust me when I say I'm also one of those people that believes we have to be I'm my favorite word is balance. Um, I
Yeah,
believe
me too. I
balance
think
is a
that's why you and I are the way we are together.
oh, yeah,
We're here for
yeah,
very similar purpose-driven work
okay.
in our own, flavors. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah. No, 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 and I'm definitely one of those people that I believe if we're not careful I see humanity dividing into more holistic, organic human beings versus the technological,
Mhm.
and I'm not anti-technology, but I'm also a very organic spiritual person, so I'm trying very hard to stay in the middle of the pendulum swing where I'm not getting left behind, that I can use the technology in an ethical way that is not harmful. I don't know if I'm making any
No,
sense, but
yes, absolutely. Like, I think that's when so to me, that's the conscious approach, you know,
mm,
like
mhm,
being thoughtful, being mindful, sort of like, employing critical thinking about it. And you're not just going to be quick to like make decisions, like you're being very thoughtful about that process
mhm.
and the potential consequences as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I think AI is a great litmus test of the consciousness of humanity. That's a mouthful.
Mm. Yes. Oh, I love that. Say that again. Say that again.
Oh,
AI,
I
the
I think
litmus.
AI is a great litmus test for the consciousness of humanity.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can see already how some human beings are just using it for horrible reasons and creating illusion and division and stealing things. And yeah, in that case, I'm not a fan of AI.
Right.
But then I see people using it for positive, and I'm totally for it.
And don't you like feel free to disagree and feel free to disagree anytime. Feel like no matter what we create, because AI is still a human creation, right? What I
Mhm.
feel like no matter what we create, it is, I don't know, because I think it's our nature. I think because we are fallible and therefore corruptible, anything that we create has potential to be corrupted and used. Like I always see anything is like on a spectrum. And so for as
Mhm.
positive as it can be, like there's always going to be somebody who's going to corrupt it and use it for whatever
Yeah.
their, purpose is, their personal gain. Um, but then like, and I can go to an extreme there and say, okay, like, what if AI, like, let's take it to the extreme where it like destroys humanity in some way. Like, I
Mhm.
don't know. I sort of just, I don't know. Maybe this is like, right. This is my rose colored glasses and my eternal optimist is, I just believe that there's an antidote to anything that we conjure up. um,
Yes. I'm the same.
You
Mhm.
know? So I just don't go into this deep fear of these things because I'm like, I trust that we will find a way. Like we'll find the
Yes.
tools, you know?
Yeah. I often think too, we talk about as spiritual people, we talk about Atlantis and this technological oasis of, understanding and togetherness. Now, I know there's this myth too that Atlantis fell because of technology. And there's a part of me that wonders how much this is pre programmed type storylines. Was it true? But it also shows you could you can have this thriving society off of technology, or if you're not careful, it could fall.
Mhm.
I don't want to re-experience a fall of Atlantis, but again, that's mythology, so I guess maybe we shouldn't go down that road.
No, I think it's part of
But
it.
it does come up.
I think
Yeah.
no, I absolutely think it's part of the even if Atlantis is even if it's mythological and it didn't actually happen, but we and I okay, so we're bridging into spirituality here, but like, so this is where I come to
Mhm.
these things, because even with my readings, even with my spiritual practice, even with the messages that come to me, sometimes I will say to myself, because right, like my psychologist, science research brain person comes in and she's like, "Where's your empirical evidence here?"
Yes, I'm the same. I do get that's why I was like, maybe I shouldn't bring this up.
No, no, no. Because like then what happens to like where I go with that with myself and how I reconcile that internally basically is if this is not if I'm really just sitting here talking to myself, is it hurting me? Is it making me better? Like how do I feel? Is it making me a better person?
Mhm.
How's my body? And I start going through that and I'm like, okay, even if that is the case, I think it's making me a better person. I think I'm gonna be all right with it. Like it
I
becomes
love that.
these 2, like, I don't know because we're I don't
Mhm.
that's how my brain really is, very split like that, and that's how I reconcile it. But then those instances where, like, I've done readings for people and I've shared things that, like, I couldn't possibly know or whatever, you know, the unexplainable, like, what do you do with that? So,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is what, like, leads me to believe in, you know, the unseen and energetics at play and, you know, yeah.
Mhm. Oh, I love that though, what you said about, how it makes you feel.
Mhm.
I think for me now I've tried to be an artist. I cannot paint to save my life. I've now digital work for me has always been so much easier for some reason, and AI has brought out this side of me that I forgot about. I'm so creative now.
I love that.
Yeah, so it makes me feel good, and it's expanding my, what's the word I'm looking for? Kinda just my not only my creativity, but my ability to see, within my mind different, worlds and different scenarios, and I'm sure this is how other painters and artists feel when they're physically drawing and painting.
Mhm.
I'm now feeling that creativity when I'm on a screen creating things,
I love that.
and yeah. So, I love what you said, how it makes you feel.
Because it matters. Like, that's what I feel like that ultimately that's what it's doing to me and my body and in my mental health and all those things. Like, how am I feeling about all of this? And I
Mhm,
try to be really aware, because we can talk ourselves into anything. So
mhm.
go into those places that I try to be really mindful of, you know, my motivation for things, my intention here. My intention is usually always to uncover more and understand more about myself. Um,
Mhm,
and I do that through like how I interact with the world.
mhm. I love that. I think too, AI is introducing access,
Yes,
opportunity.
yes, yes. It's I well, I mean, even in this situation with the headshots, like I absolutely. Like I was, going to participate in this retreat and I was like, oh, I got to get headshots together and all these things. And I reached out to a photographer and I was really excited to do that. And I didn't have time. I was getting ready to go on a trip and I was just like feeling under the gun about it. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. How am I going to get these headshots? And she wanted to charge like close to $200 for one image, which I want to be clear, like that is totally fair, and I'm not saying anything about that. Like she
Right, right.
could have that. So, but when you're like starting a business, you're investing, right? You're in investment mode. And so while I understand that that's an investment, it also can become a barrier, right? Like if I just don't, I maybe I don't have that right now. And so I have to push that off. And so I'm like, how am I going to
Right.
get this done? I need to, get this step done and all these things. And so and you and I were talking about AI. And actually when I had talked to the photographer friend, um, I did say to her, I'm open to you taking my like if you want to take pictures of me and then using AI to generate like to change things, or even if you want to take pictures that I already have and alter them or whatever, meaning like alter the background or something. And she was very
Mhm.
much like, I don't really she's like, I don't use AI and I don't there is a general feeling that, of how we should be natural and all that. And so I
Mhm.
listened and I'm like, yeah, I'm not really trying to like change my face. Like I'm not only being
Right.
properly filtered or anything. I'm not trying to do that, although the images come back and they look pretty good.
Yeah.
They have
Yeah.
blemishes and everything, but it doesn't not look like me. Um
Right.
so it has allowed me into this space that I would have otherwise been still sitting here waiting to get you some images to build this deck for me. So
Mm,
I'm
mm,
appreciating and that is where the idea of gatekeeping like came to me.
yes.
It's like gatekeeping is going away. And
Mhm.
AI is going to be a part of that because it opened up access to things, including things, even Canva, right? We'll like go back to that as an example, like Canva, right?
Mhm.
Like I'm a wannabe designer. And when Canva came along, I was like, oh, this is fun. Now I want to say, like, the stuff that you build is so beautiful. And so that's where, like, even something like Canva, it can't replace your creativity and your knowledge and skills and expertise as a designer. It
Yeah.
can make it easier for somebody like me who's like, I know enough, to kind of be dangerous in there or whatever.
Mhm.
But I know enough to get by.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I got lost
Yeah.
about.
No, no, no. The gatekeeping, I mean, it's such a great topic. And I confess that at one point in time, I was vehemently against AI, and it was all because, I don't want that conversion of humanity going to technology. I don't want to see that. That's just a personal preference, but I took a training and I quickly realized how misinformed I was on AI and the history of AI, and that we've actually been using it for a long time without knowing it.
Mhm,
We're just given full access to it right now.
mhm.
But I guess I'm seeing it differently because I'm seeing how society is shifting, and I could sit here be completely miserable that I lost my job and um being resentful about it. And I'm taking this opportunity to look at it as a shift of, okay, society's shifting, so I have to shift. And I'm just working with what's going on. And so, like you had said with the photographer, I'm now experiencing as a designer, and I'm working with people now to help them so there isn't that gatekeeping process. I confess that I think a lot of people are going to Canva because so many designers out there have been overcharging for years. And I'm not poo-pooing them, if they have the capabilities and they have the skills, you have to get paid for your time and your expertise. But so many people could not afford the design and marketing that they so desperately needed to get out of their own hole.
Yes.
And now
Or
they
they
can
put
afford
themselves more in a hole by doing that and then didn't and their business didn't take off, you know?
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I spent over $1,000 on graphic design work, and,
Mhm.
you know, it's that
Yeah.
make or break my business.
Yeah. It's a lot, and as a designer, we definitely wanna charge for our time because what looks simple actually takes a lot of time.
Absolutely. Totally. And
But
I believe it, and I support that, like, you and designers and photographers and artists, painters, you know, 'cause I've heard it in that realm too, or where it's like, AI is going to so there's the idea that, like, it copies other people's styles and artwork,
mm,
um, and so I do understand, like, there's nuance here, right? Like, I'm not
yes.
saying that AI is this, like, incredible, like, thing that we should all just be like, "Yay, it's here." I'm
Mhm,
just saying that it doesn't have to be, like, this terrible thing that a lot of people are, like, making it out to be, or that we should shame ourselves and each other for using it or embracing it or being curious about it and,
yes.
thinking,
Yep.
like, "How can this work for us?" And I love how you said, like, you could have basically, like, from your experience, you could have taken the stance of, "This is awful, and look what it did to me." Right?
Mhm,
Taken sort of
mhm,
like some from a, like, a victim mentality of, "This is happening to me," and you didn't do that. You were like, "How can I empower myself here?
mhm.
Roll with this." And, so then you educated yourself and you started getting curious.
Yes. It really is going to be a shift in resources,
Mhm.
income. For me, I know you and I had talked about this already, where now for me, when I use AI, I use ethically sourced AI applications.
How do you determine that?
So let's say someone wants me to create a photo or an image, I go to an app that I use that they have pre-approved models that have given them access to use their face and body.
Mhm.
They also have pre-approved artists who have said, yes, you can use my artwork as a source of your personalized AI, machine. And so when I am pulling images together, it's coming from approved sources.
I love that. I love that.
And then on top of that, I will take it into my design stuff. I don't just put in a prompt and use the image as it comes. I add in my own touches. So I'm still being artistic and creative.
Yeah. Same
And
with, like, AI generated text, right? Like, people are like, "Oh, it's going to do away with writers." No, it's not. It just gives it gives you, like, another pass at editing,
yes.
essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Which a lot of people can't afford editors. Editors are expensive.
Mhm.
um
I know.
yeah, you would
The woman that and she is well known in her world, and but she wants like $10,000
wow.
to work on my book with me, and I just don't have that, so
Yeah.
not right now.
And I think too, for me, when it comes to text and writing, I know there are people in the world, of course, that will write a book a day and not even look at the text and they just prompt AI to write everything. I really like using AI as like a jump off point. So I'll create a table of contents or an outline but then I go back in and I add my voice and my human touch. I think it's about balance.
Yes, yes.
So,
That's I think, as with most things in our existence here, it is about balance. And this is one of those things where, you know, I think it's easy to say when people see it and sort of from an ignorant standpoint are like, "Oh my god, it's going to be the end of us." And
mhm.
I'm just like, since when has that been the case yet? Like, we had Y2K where it was gonna be the end of like, we keep I don't know if it's just, like, our if that's just, like, part of our humanness, like, we're always sort of, like,
That's
thinking
true.
about the end, it has to be the end, but, like, I don't think AI is gonna be the end of us. Now, of course, we've seen lots of movies where AI takes over and they, like, wanna kill all the humans. And I think that's just our overall fear is that
Mhm.
I wonder if that's because we feel like we deserve that. Like, I don't know, collectively, if we just because we know that we wreak such havoc on this planet,
Mhm.
but I don't
Or
see
is it
ever being a slave to AI in our life. I just don't see that.
Yeah. Or is it more programming too, where we've been programmed to think that it's going to be the end of us, and then it creates more division because, we have different types of psyches and mindsets that, of course, we're going to be polar on them.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you're right.
Well, yeah, and then that's the beauty of being human is like we definitely don't all agree, and we exist on.
Mhm.
At least I believe we exist on a spectrum, so you're going to have a broad range of feelings and thoughts and questions and experiences with all these things.
Yeah.
Um, and there might be people who never touch AI, or if they do touch it, it's so beneath the surface for them they don't even realize it.
Mhm.
People who are like just coming in droves to like work with it and learn it and figure it out. And how can I use this? How can I create efficiency in my work life? Because that really, I haven't seen it yet. Really, like, does my is my little what are they called? The robot, the
The
little the Roomba. Like,
Mhm.
that's not AI, is it?
I
No,
don't know. I don't know how that works, to be
it's
honest.
a robot, right?
Yeah.
It's like auto generated. Like it's
Mhm.
yeah. So
Someone had said to me once, anytime you call into, let's say, like a bank or anything, and you're put through that automated
the
system,
prompt system.
mhm,
Mhm. Okay.
hey, that's an AI.
It is, yeah, because
Mhm.
it turns out okay, because it's responsive.
Yep. So we've had it for a long time. We just haven't had access to
Mhm.
it in those ways. But
I'm looking forward to gatekeeping going away personally.
yeah.
I've been seeing it fall away for the last couple of years, even in the spiritual community in terms of, like, even how we think of the guru anymore, right? Or
Yes.
spiritualist, like,
Mhm.
anytime I hear that it's not that I'm not it's just it makes me question it.
Yeah.
Like, if
Yeah.
I that or somebody referred to as that, I don't ever hear anybody walking around referring to themselves that way. But that idea of this, like, this sort of holy person or this I won't use the word holy, like this person that's, like, on a pedestal for some reason, you know?
Mhm.
Who was the one recently? It was a couple months ago that, I wish I could remember. He is aging and he said something. Was it the Dalai Lama? It might have been. I forget. Like it was this holy man. I can't believe I can't remember. And he said something, but it was from his country. And I want to say he's from Sri Lanka. Like I think he's a monk. I think it was the Dalai Lama. I'd have to look. Um, and he was speaking to a child, and I forget what he said, but it translated was inappropriate, and everybody was like up in arms about it, saying he's losing his mind and he is
Oh.
aging and he's like, and all those things might be true. I mean, because that is absolutely a possibility. And if somebody is in the public in that space, they probably
Mhm.
should be retiring. Maybe I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
not. But I even with him because he's so revered, it's like you can see his humanity there. Like we
Yeah.
hold these people up as if they are like above
Mhm.
us or perfect or there's like something in some way. But like really,
Yeah.
he's a
That's
human.
a recipe for disaster when we do that, I think.
It is. It is. It's just it's yes. Yeah.
I've not heard that story. I'll have to look it up, but
Let me check.
I think we become more discerning as, like you had said earlier, we learn and we grow, and that's the whole process of testing something new, like a scientific testing of not only AI, but each other. And I've seen even in our local community how much we've grown as a group with our discernment.
It was the Dalai Lama, and um,
Really?
he was speaking in Tibetan, and I think he said, "Eat my tongue." Um, it's a phrase that translates to "eat my tongue," but it's so the but it's like a common, like, lovingly, like, it's a phrase from their country, and so we, of course,
Mhm.
bastardized it and whatever, and
Oh,
it's
yeah,
that, but it's just like, you know, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
That's a
The
shame.
the meaning was lost in translation,
That sounds familiar.
especially with our American,
I
like, brand over top of all that. Um, but
I
yeah.
guess my only thing that I have left to say about AI is, like, I really wanna find a way where I can utilize it, but how can I also support all of my friends who are painters, illustrators, like, real artists?
Mhm.
Because
So I
there
think yeah, like, yes. So here's how I see that.
Mhm,
So even in this place, like right now, you are working on a project for me, and I saw that you're a small business owner. I love your creations. Every time you've shared stuff, I've always loved everything you've shared. And I'm like, I want to, number one, it's a choice. Like, I want to work with her because I like what you make, but I also feel really good about supporting you because I want to see you succeed. And,
mhm,
you know, I think even my friend who's the photographer who wanted to charge for the headshot, I will schedule with her at some point when it's a little bit nicer out, now that I don't feel like I'm in such a rush. Because I
mm.
felt rushed and I was like, I have to get this done. It's freaking cold out. Like, I'm trying to like figure out how I'm gonna do all this. I wanted my photos to be outside instead of in a studio, and it's freaking February, and you
Mhm,
know, like, I think AI gave me this opportunity to create this art and put this package together for myself, this promotional material so that I can get my business going.
mhm,
Business is going, I will hopefully have funds to continue to support and be generous in my community. And then
yeah,
that's where like I get the choice, to be like, who do I want to who do I want to support? What do I want to support with my money? So I
mhm.
think you can do both, where it's like this thing over here gave me ease and access into a world I didn't have. And because of that, now that hopefully will springboard me to be able to provide in these other ways. Like, I think it works together. It doesn't have to be one or the other, you know?
I love that. That makes so much sense because, as a designer, sometimes I get stuck when I'm working on my own stuff because I'm too close to it.
Mhm.
And right now, being unemployed and just starting this business, I would love to hire another designer to do my stuff for me, but I can't right now. So I'm doing what I can with AI, but I gotta say, if I succeed and funds start rolling in, yeah, I'm gonna hire that other
Yeah,
designer.
exactly. Like it doesn't stop you, right, from doing it. It might, like, the timing of it might change. Like, whereas you would have maybe had to do that process before, or you would suffer through it yourself because you can, if
Hmm.
you're a designer and you know how to do those things. But it is different when you have somebody do it for you for your
Hmm.
own promotional stuff. Because I could do all the stuff that you did too on Canva. It wouldn't look like yours, but I could come up with something and it would be fine.
Mhm.
But I love like the joy that I get from seeing what you've created, right?
Aw.
I'm just like, wow, it makes me so happy. And it makes me so happy that I didn't have to do it.
Yeah, I feel you.
Even though I can, that it's just like that opportunity cost. Like you saved me from having sort of toil over it and whatever. It's just, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that we can, like you've said a couple times, balance. Like it might change the order of operations in some situations, but I don't think that it has to replace the industry completely.
I
And
agree.
nor could it ever really. Like it's not. It just can't because I think as humans we have a deep appreciation for unique creativity. You know.
Yes. When I want to put art on my wall, I mean, maybe this is personal preference, but I want something that was created by a friend or someone that I know put time and effort into it. I am not gonna just create some AI image and have it printed off on my computer, and I want meaning to it and the human touch.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, the human touch. And that's not to say like that a beautiful graphic can't be created. That's totally like worthy of being printed and put up on a canvas or something or whatever on,
true.
right?
Yeah.
Like, you can I've seen lots of beautiful AI generated things. It does I think it is personal preference, but it's like you could have both, right? Like you could have
Mhm.
um beautiful handmade artwork and then like really cool sacred geometry designs that are
That's true.
so
Yeah. Balance.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the theme really that we came back to on this topic was balance.
Yeah.
And just I think anytime we want to use technology in a conscious, mindful way, that element has to be at play.
Mhm.
And that element I think has to be at play in general in our human experience, which we seem to like do that dance to
Mhm.
find balance in our lives, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
well, think we covered this topic. Thank you for going down this rabbit hole with me. I love this and I've been loving just sort of observing it in the collective, like how it plays out. Of course I get a little disheartened. I'm used to it by now though, like anything that's a debatable topic, how people, come out in these sort of like shaming, judgmental ways. But that's why I felt the other day like so compelled to share even to share that picture and own it and be like, "This is an AI generated image." And, people messaged me because they didn't wanna ask on my post, but they messaged me privately and they were like, "What app do you use?" Because I
Yeah.
share with multiple people. So, you know
Yeah, I mean, there is that shaming aspect, so I know a lot of people are actually interested, but they're afraid
they're
to make it
afraid.
public that they're interested.
And they're afraid that they're gonna be judged if they use those images and somebody else is like, "Oh, is that a generated image?" Like, "Oh, that's fake." Well,
Yeah.
it is and it's not. Like, it still looks very much like me, uh,
Yeah.
and it feels and that too. Oh, before we go, I do wanna say, like, here's a beautiful aspect to AI that I'm enjoying. I have, like, I'm this person, but I have my alter egos,
Mhm,
so there's something really cool. I'm a very visual person.
mhm,
There's something really cool about seeing your likeness for real on a
mm,
face and on a body, like in a setting that you're like, wow,
mhm.
that really resonates with me for some reason. And then it's like, it's just really interesting to see it.
Yes.
Well, like I have gained more confidence, I think, in the last couple weeks
Yes.
as a
Yes.
result of these AI images, which sounds silly to admit. But it's like I see them and I'm like, oh, you know what? I am pretty.
Mhm. Yes, exactly. See, I think
Maybe
it's
I've
in the
never
eye of the beholder what they see.
yeah. 'Cause I think, like, when I have my own pictures, like, I pick them apart. I don't know, and that's just my own stuff, right? I'm just gonna air that. But, like, I don't know, like, I'm seeing these images come back, and I'm like, "Wow, she's
Mhm.
really pretty," you know? She
Mhm. You are pretty. Yes.
She's like, "Oh,"
And,
having this
I
reckoning with myself of, like, "Yeah, you're alright. Like, stop being so mean to yourself." So,
right.
yeah.
I know people argue the opposite, that it causes, false image of yourself or whatever, but, there was one of me as, like, a galactic being,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh my gosh, look at how powerful I am,"
Yeah.
or
Yes. That too.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
and
not just about pretty, like, it's powerful. Yeah. Like, there's
yeah,
some
you
images
can
that
see
I
yourself
generate.
differently.
Yes, that I was playing with and I was like, "Wow, she looks badass." Like, because one I think was like a warrior or something and, she just looked really strong. But
Yeah,
that aspect of it is really fun, and I think for people who are more visual, who maybe struggle in some ways to see themselves in a different light might
mhm,
actually be a good thing. But like you just said too, I mean, of course, there's the opposite of that, which is people might look at that and have body image issues. I don't know. I would love to see it go the other way where it's like, wow, look at me, you know?
did
I
I
don't
tell you about the young girl who did an AI image of herself that came up as her being thinner, that she lost like 120 pounds because it inspired her?
No, I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm
Now
talking about.
right.
I feel like it almost gives you like a potentiality of like, okay. I mean,
Mhm.
like I was saying earlier, like the one image that I really like of the ones that you did where I have the, shirt where it's like a tie around my neck, like, I don't shop for stuff like that, but seeing these images, I'm like the couple images that I liked a lot, the
Mhm.
2 most, both had similar type shirts, and I'm like, "I wonder what it is about that shirt that or that style," but I've never thought to try anything like that on or thought that that would ever look good on me.
Yeah.
So it's inspiring me, you know? Yeah.
I think it comes down and then I'll shut up. I
No,
think
I
it
love it.
comes down to, learning to love ourselves where we're at.
Mm,
Of
mhm.
course, someone can look at an image and say, "Oh, well, you should just love yourself for who you are," and I absolutely agree. But look at what it did for that woman and how it inspired her, where someone else could look at that and just really get down on themselves. So it really comes down to whether we're going to take what's given to us and use it positively or negatively or just
Mhm.
learning to accept ourselves.
Yes, I love that, and I think that's a really good, like, point to end on. It's are we gonna take the things that the resources, the tools that we have and use them to our advantage, or are we going to use them to further demonize and, criticize ourselves and each other?
Mhm.
I'm pulling for the positive here.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to have this conversation was to talk about this and demonstrate that we can do this consciously and thoughtfully and for our betterment, for our advancement. I like that you used that word earlier, technological advancement. This is an advancement in our evolution. It is.
Mhm.
And I'm here for it. So
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I could talk about this all day.
well, thank you for joining me. I'm going to end the recording and then you and I can wrap up. So let me end that. It was so good to talk about this, though. Thank you.
It was. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining me for this episode of All the Things.